What if the terrifying hills from Wrong Turn weren't just fiction? What if the inbred cannibals, the backwoods traps, and those chilling screams actually had roots in reality? Let's uncover the dark inspiration behind one of horror's most disturbing franchises and find out if Wrong Turn is truly based on real cannibals. Released in 2003, Wrong Turn quickly became a cult horror classic known for its brutal kills, eerie Appalachian wilderness, and unforgettable hillbilly cannibals. Creatures so twisted, you'd pray they were only the product of a screenwriter's wild imagination. But the fear felt too real, the isolation too believable, and those cannibalistic figures too disturbingly human. So, naturally, the question began to spread online. Was this movie inspired by real-life events? The creators of Wrong Turn have admitted that they took inspiration from regional legends, particularly folklore found in the remote mountains of West Virginia and the Appalachian Trail, places already surrounded by stories of missing hikers, strange sightings, and off-grid families. One of the most cited influences is the Sawney Bean legend, a horrific tale from 15th century Scotland, where a family of over 40 people allegedly lived in caves, ambushed travelers and cannibalized them for decades without getting caught. The Sawney Bean family was said to have murdered and eaten over 1,000 people until the king's army finally hunted them down and executed them in the most brutal way possible. Now, while some historians debate whether the Sawney Bean story was real or exaggerated to scare people off the wild coasts, its influence on horror stories, including Wrong Turn, is undeniable. The idea of cannibalistic families hiding in the hills may sound like urban legend, but scattered across US history are cases that are just as horrifying. Take Alfred Packer, the 19th century prospector who, during a winter expedition in the Colorado mountains, resorted to eating his fellow travelers to survive, and was later charged with murder and cannibalism. Then there's Ed Gein, the infamous killer who inspired movies like Psycho and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Not exactly a cannibal, but a man who used human remains to make furniture and clothing. These aren't hillbilly monsters. They were real people with twisted minds, living among society. But the truth is, it's not hard to imagine how, in remote, lawless areas, a group of people could live undetected, especially if they were violent, inbred, and willing to kill anyone who came too close. What makes Wrong Turn so terrifying isn't just the gore, it's the idea that once you leave the safety of civilization, all bets are off. The movie plays on our fear of isolation, of breaking down where there's no help, of running into people who don't follow the rules of society, because they were never part of it to begin with. The cannibals in Wrong Turn represent something primal, something ancient, a distorted reflection of what humanity could become if we were cut off, mutated by generations of inbreeding and driven only by hunger and hate. This fear of the unknown woods, of being hunted, goes back centuries, long before films existed. And whether or not real cannibal clans exist, the fact that so many believe they might is part of what gives the movie its lasting power. The Appalachian region, where Wrong Turn is set, has always been home to strange rumors. Stories of feral people, uncontacted families living deep in the hills, and hikers vanishing without a trace have circulated for decades. While there's no official proof of roaming cannibal clans, locals in certain areas whisper otherwise. Tales of being watched, of hearing screams in the woods at night, of coming across strange cabins far from any marked trail. Some even link this with national park disappearances, like those catalogued by David Paulides in his Missing 411 series. Unexplained vanishings in forests, many without logical clues, sometimes with bodies never found. Could some of these cases be attributed to human predators lurking where no one expects them? It's impossible to say for sure, But it's exactly this uncertainty that Wrong Turn taps into. So, is Wrong Turn based on a true story? Not directly. No real-life family of deformed cannibals has ever been officially confirmed in West Virginia. But the film draws heavily from historical legends, unsettling cases of cannibalism, and the real fear of being lost in wilderness where no one can save you. And maybe, just maybe, that's even more terrifying. Because if monsters are based on truths we can't verify or completely deny, then somewhere out there, something like Wrong Turn could be lurking, watching, waiting for someone to take the wrong path. So next time you plan a road trip through the mountains, make sure your map is up to date, because not every turn leads you back home.